So over the weekend, I had an incredible experience. I know it sounds very cliche, but I truly enjoy meeting brand new people, especially when they're introduced to me by somebody I already know, and they know about me, they know about them, and they're like, yeah, y'all need to know each other. Because I love doing that. It's like being a matchmaker, but for friends. So my brand new friends, Sayuri-chan, Yuki-san, what's up, y'all? So remember over the weekend we were hanging out at Joystick on Edgewood Avenue, and I was telling you guys about my affinity and love for the traditional Kokeshi, the Japanese doll called Kokeshi. Now I'm gonna like flop in and out to explain everything, but I want to catch everybody else up on some of the things that they might not know. So for example, somebody was sitting back here saying, what the hell is a kokeshi? So, kokeshi is a traditional Japanese art form. It's in the form of a doll, and it's just made out of wood. So, I have a little collection of them that I have been given as received as gifts, purchased on my own, and also received. Anyway, I'm gonna get to that part later. But anyway, this is a kokeshi. So, what makes a kokeshi a kokeshi? Like I said, it's made out of all wood. I'm kind of carved and everything. Has like this cylindrical body and little head. They're almost always female. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but they're almost always female. And when I lived in Japan the second time, I lived in the prefecture called Miyagi. Prefecture is like a little state. So I lived in Miyagi State, and within Miyagi, there is a famous small town called Naruto. And so Naruto is very famous for onsens or hot springs. And they're also very famous for the Kokeshi doll. So by the time I got familiar with that little town, I just went crazy. Like going there, hanging out, going there, harassing the art makers, trying to figure out how you carve the wood, how they paint it. And so they say, you know what, child, you love these things too much, and I do. So the kokeshi from Naruto is very easy to identify by two things. Number one is the pattern of the flower in the front. This is made by one stroke. All right. I'm using one hand for the selfie stick and the other one's to hold this, so I can't really point it out. But needless to say, one stroke to make the petal of the flower, and so they go repeat it and everything and make this pattern, and it's so gorgeous. So you'll see hit here, and then on my bigger one. This is from the Shikama people, the town of Shikama. They gave me this one. I mean, as you can see, it's pretty big and it's heavy. But needless to say, the pattern of that flower is like the little one that I showed. Ooh, I hope it don't fall. It's like the little one I showed you. I guess I should do it like this. So you see how, the flower patterns are the same. All right. So let me move on. So, and the second thing about the Naruto Kokeshi is that when you twist the head, it squeaks. So I'm going to try to hold this. Hold on for a second. All right. So when you twist the head of this Kokeshi, it makes a little squeaking noise. And so that is the trademark of a Naruto Kokeshi. Kokeshi can be obtained and bought in different parts of Japan, but the Naruto one, that's what makes it special. That flower pattern and the head turning. So when I first, visited that area, like I said, I fell in love with that art form, and they have different types of designs. Of course, they try to keep it as traditional as possible. Sometimes people they want to get creative, and so I said, you know what, just trying to mix and fuse things. The first kokeshi that I ever made, it was an experience I had with my mom. She came to visit me in Japan, and this was back in 2008. So I met up with my mom, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go, make one of these dolls, and we just thought I thought it would be fun for her to have that experience. Like, so when you're traveling, sometimes you gotta do something more than just eating and walking around and taking pictures, right? So I took my mother to go and make Kokeshi, and then I jumped in and made one myself. And so the idea of this Kokeshi was that I tried to incorporate some of the traditional aspects of of making them. But then I added some accents on my own. So as you can see, there's some red dots, kind of like a bead, on her hair. And then, but this is actually one of, like I said, my first Kokeshi doll. And the idea of this one was that she was going to be a fusion piece. She was going to be my Indian Kokeshi. So the red on the front is symbolic of the sari. And I have it going like, as if though the wind is blowing. And so it's not a flower, but, I use the red, which is also part of the Japanese flag. Red is the color that Indian women wear when they're getting married. And, and it's a nice color. So, and then on top of that, I decided to put the Bentley. That's it's a mark on the forehead that Indian women will wear sometimes. I know you've seen it, okay? But instead of putting that on the front of her head, I said, I'm just going to go ahead and incorporate that in the back. So, I thought I was doing something. So I made this little doll, and I was so happy. And, she kind of sat on my shelf for a little bit. And then until I was reading the newspaper, and I saw that there was a Kokeshi concours. And so in Nautico, they were hosting an annual Nautico Kokeshi competition. And so what you had to do was make your own Kokeshi, mail it to them. It would be judged, and then you would find out the results. So I just, I was reading this stuff. I double checked with somebody to make sure what I was reading was accurate. And turns out that it was, and I had time. So, I put in, saying, hey, fill out the application. I was going to compete in this thing. And I was so excited. And then, so a blank Kokeshi. So it had nothing on it. It was just, like that. And so a blank Kokeshi showed up, and that thing sat in my living room on the floor for about 3 or 4 days because I could not figure out what to do. And I'm like, I want to, I'm not, at that point, I'm like, I can't sit here and try to, duplicate a real Nautico Kokeshi. So, but what can I do that, that's going to be a little bit different? So I looked over here at my Indian Kokeshi, and I said, well, I want to do another fusion one. Like, that should be cool. So I came up with the idea to do an African Kokeshi. And so I have to reach up here to get her. So this is the African Kokeshi, and her name is Sankofa. What I did was use the Ghanaian Andrika symbol. There's so many of them, and all of them have meanings. And this meaning is representative of a bird that is looking behind it for history and information and knowledge from the past. And so this symbol is called Sankofa, and it's from Ghana. And so so I utilized that as its design in the front. And then I had her head wrap is a piece of fabric that I had obtained during one of my trips to Senegal, in Dakar, Senegal. So she has aspects of Senegal and Ghana on her. And then I had, then I started getting fancy. I would put a gold necklace on her neck. She got a beautiful, red full lips and everything. She's been traveling, she's been around for a while. I made this doll in 2009. And so what happened, I sent Sankofa to be judged in the Kokeshi competition. And so I waited, and then I got this letter back, very formal Japanese, and I had to ask for some help because it was in Keigo. That's like the high level of speaking. So and it turns out that I'd received an honorable mention, an award for this fusion art, and that Sankofa was, I was a recipient of an award, and that Sankofa was going to be on display at the National Kokeshi Museum for 1 year. Can you imagine? Like I was just whoa, sorry. I was so ecstatic and very happy and excited. So she set up in the National Kokeshi Museum. For the better part of the duration. Unfortunately, I had to leave. I mean, well, I didn't have to leave. I wound up moving from Japan, and when I went up to go and pick her up, they were just like, "Oh, the owner of this Kokeshi has to come and get it." And I said, "So, y'all don't see any resemblance? Like, I mean, you don't think that, is there a question about who made this doll?" So anyway, we got it all figured out. She wound up coming home with me, but definitely one of my happy, sweet memories during my time of living in Japan, and just some of the awesome stuff that I did when I was there. So yeah, I'm thinking that I should probably pick up. I found some other blank kokeshi that I have, and I'm thinking, wow, I got an Indian one, I got an African one. I'm gonna go ahead and do something else. And so while I'm thinking about it too, my Indian Kokeshi does not have a name, so I will happily take suggestions to name my baby girl, okay? And Sankofa, she's going to remain to be Sankofa. And if you have suggestions of a country that I should think about, to make the next doll, I would happily take those suggestions. And, just try to, anyway, it was fun. And so I'm thinking that I enjoyed that. It was a very warm memory, sharing that with Yuki and his wife. And I'm like, wow, I can do this again. So and then I decided to make this video so I can share it with you guys. So like I said, if you have any suggestions, all of your comments, and if you've ever made a Kokeshi, like please let me know because I want to see them. And I'll take a couple of pictures and everything and post it in the comments below so you guys can see the collection and everything. But thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to share with you one of my accomplishments and one of my happy memories, again, in Japan, but how I fused my other travel, India and Africa, into this traditional Japanese art form. And so kind of made something special for me. So thank you. That's all. See you next time. Bye.